Ulaika, those lam yakunu mu'jizina fil ard. They can never at all cause failure to Allah on earth. Mu'jizina is a plural of mu'jiz. All of these efforts that they're putting in to stop people from the way of Allah, presenting their religion as something that is crooked, they can never be successful in doing that. They can never be successful in making Allah helpless, in defeating the plan of Allah. Allah is going to make His religion superior, dominant, whether people like it or they don't like it. And just imagine towards the end of the Meccan period, when the Prophet ﷺ had gone to At-Taif and he came back, just imagine every single day was so difficult. It was as though the light of Islam would blow out, would extinguish at any time. Any time. There was at the point when Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, even he was facing persecution. Just imagine, before it was only the slaves. But now Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was not allowed to recite Quran openly. So what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? That they think that they can extinguish the light of Islam? They cannot. أُولَٰئِكَ لَمْ يَكُونُوا مُعْجِزِينَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. They cannot make Allah helpless in the earth. Why is the earth mentioned? Because that is where the people are. If they cannot cause failure to the plan of Allah in the earth, they think they can cause failure in the skies? How is it possible? They cannot. وَمَا كَانَ لَهُمْ, and they will not have مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ, besides Allah, مِن أَوْلِيَاء, any close protecting friends. Meaning no one is going to come and save them from the punishment of Allah. يُضَاعَفُ لَهُمُ الْعَذَابِ. On the contrary, the punishment is going to be doubled for them. يُضَاعَفُ from the root letters, ضاد عين فا. It's going to be increased for them, multiplied for them. Why? Why increased for them? Because their crime was double. They stopped themselves and they also stopped others. They stopped people from the way of Allah and they also tried to make the religion of Allah seem as crooked. So يُضَاعَفُ لَهُمُ الْعَذَابِ. The punishment is going to be multiplied for them. مَا كَانُوا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ السَّمْعَ. They were not able to hear. وَمَا كَانُوا يُبْصِرُونَ. Nor could they see. Does it mean that literally they were deaf and blind? What does it mean? That they disliked the truth so much, they could not even bear to listen to it. They disliked the truth so much that they couldn't even bear to see it. مَا كَانُوا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ السَّمْعَ وَمَا كَانُوا يُبْصِرُونَ. Similarly, when they heard the Quran, they would not understand it. They were not able to comprehend it. They would not be able to see the truth. So such people, they will have double punishment, because they kept away and they also stopped others away. They would not listen and they would also stop others from listening. They would not see and they would also not let other people see. When a person does something wrong himself and he also encourages other people to do it, then he will not just be punished for the wrong that he is doing, he will also be punished for the way that he is promoting. Because the crime has been multiplied. We learned in Surah Fussilat, ayah 26, that وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَا تَسْمَعُوا لِهَذَا الْقُرْآنِ وَالْغَوْا فِيهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَغْلِبُونَ. And those people who disbelieve, they say, do not listen to this Qur'an. مَا كَانُوا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ السَّمْعَ. They would say, don't listen to this Qur'an. And speak noisily during its recitation. So that other people also cannot listen. Don't listen yourself and don't let other people listen. مَا كَانُوا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ السَّمْعَ. Similarly, we have learned in Surah Al-An'am, ayah 26, that وَهُمْ يَنْهَوْنَ عَنْهُ وَيَنْأَوْنَ عَنْهُ. That they prevent others from Him and are themselves remote from Him as well. So for such people, there is double punishment. But on the Day of Judgment, they will have regrets that at least they should have listened. Because if you think of it, listening is something very easy to do. Isn't it? If you're reading, you have to hold the book, right? You have to keep your eyes open, right? You have to look at the book. You can't look around. Correct? Similarly, if you're writing, even that is difficult. If you're talking, even that is challenging. But when it comes to listening, you don't even have to open or close your ears. You don't. You don't have to put in any effort at all. So they will have regrets on the Day of Judgment that at least we should have tried to listen. Because listening is so easy. As we learn in Surah Mulk that وَقَالُوا لَوْ كُنَّا نَسْمَعُ أَوْ نَعْقِلُ مَا كُنَّا فِي أَصْحَابِ السَّعِيرِ. If we had listened, if we used a little bit of our reason, we would not be amongst the companions of the blazing fire. أُولَئِكَ الَّذِينَ, it is those people who خَسِرُوا أَنفُسَهُم, who have lost themselves. وَضَلَّ عَنْهُمْ, and lost is from them مَا كَانُوا يَفْتَرُونَ, that which they used to fabricate. Such people, they have lost themselves. They have suffered the ultimate loss. Such people have suffered the ultimate loss. And all that they used to invent, they will lose it. What is it that they invented? They invented many arguments that, okay, we will say this, we will present this excuse, we will present this justification, but all of those justifications, all of those excuses will be lost. Like, for example, even in dunya, if a person knows that he's doing something wrong, especially amongst children, and they're discussing amongst themselves that what if your parents catch you, what if they ask you, what are you going to say? I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this, and when they're caught, they don't know what to say. Right? All those justifications and excuses and arguments, they're lost. Because when they're busy enjoying or when they're busy doing what they want to do, at that time it's very easy to come up with justifications. And people become very unrealistic with regards to them. And when they face reality, when it comes before them, everything that they had made up, it's gone. Similarly, وَضَلَّ عَنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يَفْتَرُونَ, what else did they invent? Their false gods, thinking that they would help them. But on the Day of Judgment, none will come to their aid. لَا جَرَمَ, assuredly, أَنَّهُمْ, indeed they, فِي الْآخِرَةِ, in the hereafter, هُمُ الْأَخْسَرُونَ, they will be the greatest losers. Notice the word لَا جَرَمَ. لَا جَرَمَ is, you put these words together, لَا and جَرَمَ. Okay? Together they convey the meaning of assuredly. You cannot translate them separately. That la, not, and jarama, something else. No, it's one word. La jarama, assuredly. Okay? It is a combination of la and jarama, but if you would separate them, if you translated them separately, they would give a completely different meaning. Together they give a meaning. Jaram literally means to cut something. What does it mean to cut something? And from this, the word jurm, what does it mean? To commit a crime. Because when a person commits crimes, he is cutting the boundaries. He's crossing the boundaries, the limits. And la jarama, together, it gives the meaning of haqqan. Definitely, assuredly, of course, there is no doubt. And la jarama appears 5 times in the Quran. 5 times. And each time it is followed by anna. So la jarama, anna. Both of them mean indeed. La jarama means assuredly, anna means indeed. So together, it gives the meaning of, like this is an absolute fact. There is no doubt in this. لا جرم أنهم في الآخرة هم الأخسرون. There is no doubt that indeed these people in the hereafter, they will be the greatest losers. No one will suffer more loss than them. No one at all. Notice the word is أخسر. It's not خاسر. And soon you will learn about أفعل التفضيل in علم الاشتقاق. That أخسر, أفعل, is one who suffers greatest loss. No one suffers more loss than him. Why are they the أخسرون? How are they أخسرون? Because if you look at it, they will lose themselves. In the previous ayah, الَّذِينَ خَسِرُوا أَنفُسَهُم. They will lose themselves. They will lose themselves to what? To the hellfire. They will have no peace, no comfort, no happiness, no joy, no friends, no breaks, nothing. And no freedom, nothing. No freedom at all, no choice. لا جرم أنهم في الآخرة هم الأخسرون. They're the greatest losers in the hereafter. But on the other hand, إن الذين آمنوا, indeed those people who believed, وعملوا الصالحات, and they also did righteous deeds, وأخبتوا إلى ربهم, and they humbled themselves to their Lord. أخبتوا is from the root letters خَبَتَ, إخبات. And ikhbat is from khabt. And khabt is used for low and soft ground. What is it? Low and soft ground. How do you understand soft ground? That it's smooth, it's leveled, it's very easy to walk on it. And in particular, it's so soft that if you step on it, your foot would sink. For example, very soon, when all the snow has melted away, and the temperature is also much warmer, then if you go to a forest, if you go to a place where a lot of snow had accumulated, and if you step on that ground, it's so soft because of all the water that is inside. So you step in it, it's not like quicksand. You step in it and your foot will sink. This is how soft it is. Or like when snow has freshly, fallen down, when there has been a very recent and fresh snow, then if you step on that snow, what happens? Your foot sinks, isn't it? One is that it's getting cold and icy. This is like when it's soft. You step on it and your foot sinks. This is what khabt is. So akhbatu, they became low. They sank. They became humble. Ila rabbihim, to their Lord. They believed and they did righteous deeds, and on top of that they became very humble. Ila rabbihim, to their Lord. What does it mean by this? Akhbatu ila rabbihim. That they directed their fear, their humility, their sincerity, their dedication, all of it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People are humble and soft before many, isn't it? They're compliant, they're obedient, they listen to many people. However, these people, they direct their obedience, their compliance, their humility, their servitude to who? To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If a person is very obedient in front of someone, what does that mean? That they will just have to say a command once, an instruction once, and immediately they will follow. Isn't it? Immediately they will follow, without any question. So similarly, أَخْبَتُوا إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ, that they fall before their Lord. They don't stand arrogant. They don't stand arrogant. Whatever command comes, they accept it, they fall, they break down. Their hearts tremble. They don't present excuses. They don't keep delaying. They don't say that, no, I cannot do this much. I can only do a little bit. No, أَخْبَتُوا إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ. They become humble before their Lord. أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ الْجَنَّةِ. Such people are the companions of paradise, and hum fiha khalidun. They will abide therein eternally. If you notice, in this ayah, besides Iman and Amal Salih, what is mentioned in particular? Ikhbat, humility. And how can a person develop this quality within himself? When he realizes his own reality. When he understands himself. That I am nothing. I am only a slave. And when a person thinks like that, then every command that he learns of, he accepts it. He falls down before it. He doesn't stand arrogantly anymore. When he finds out this is from Allah, he will do it. It's from Allah, it's completely true. This is what is beneficial for me. He will do it. He will not present excuses. He will not delay. He will do it. Now the example of these two groups, which we have been seeing from the very beginning, those people who are very ungrateful and despairing at the time of the loss of a blessing. Similarly, when suffering from a hardship, or when a hardship is taken away, they become very arrogant, extremely happy, very boastful. On the other hand, those people who do sabr. So if you see from the beginning, a comparison is being made between two groups of people. Those who believe and those who don't believe. Those who become humble and those who remain arrogant. Now the example of these two groups of people is given in the following ayah. That mathalu, the example of al-fariqain, the two groups. What are the two groups? The believers and disbelievers. Those who are patient, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَأَخْبَتُوا, and those who are ya'us and kafur and farih and fakhur, and those people who invent lies against Allah. So mathalul fariqain, the example of the two groups is like kal-a'ma, like the blind, wal asam, and the deaf. Meaning one group is like the one who is blind and deaf. A'ma is from umyun, and a'ma is one who is very blind, most blind. And asam is from sum, and it's one who is most deaf. So a'ma, most blind, and asam, most deaf. Very blind, very deaf, cannot see anything, cannot hear anything. Cannot see anything, cannot hear anything. You see, sometimes a person may have weak eyesight. He may get a surgery done, or he may wear glasses, and that may enable him to see better. If not completely, at least better. Similarly, a person may have some hearing problem. He may wear a hearing aid, and it would help him in listening. But if a person has become completely blind, then can any glasses help him? No. Can any surgery help him? No. Similarly, if a person has gone completely deaf, can any hearing aid help him? No. The example of those who disbelieve, the example of those who are arrogant, who are stubborn, they are like the one who is blind and deaf. Blind to Allah's revelation, blind to the ayat of Allah. And why is the word blind been used? Because in their arrogance, in their enmity, in their hatred, it is as though they have become blind. They cannot see the truth. You know, when a person is overcome by emotions, when a person is blinded by love or blinded by hatred, he cannot see the reality of things anymore. In the bias that they had against the Prophet ﷺ, they're like blind. They're like deaf. Deaf to the call of truth. Deaf to the warning that is given. Unable to understand anything that is said to them. But on the other hand, the other group is like wal basiri was samir, and the seeing and the hearing. The other group is of those people who are able to see and able to hear. And notice the word basir. This is used in contrast to a'ma. So basir is one who is able to see very well, and as-samir, the one who is able to hear very well. And who does this refer to? The believers. Those who are able to see in difficult situations even. This is a test. That if one blessing has been taken away, at least there are so many other blessings. Basir, they can see. They can see. That if I am suffering from one problem, at least so many other things are still okay. Basir. Was-samir. They listen. They listen to the ayat. They listen to the reminders. And they take heed. هَلْ يَسْتَوِيَانِ مَثَلًا? Can they ever be equal in example? Yastawiyan from the root letters, sin waw ya. Can these two groups ever be equal in example, in description, in sifa? Can you ever say that the blind and deaf is just like the seeing and the hearing? Can you say that? No, you cannot. أَفَلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ? Then don't you take a lesson? Don't you take heed? Will you not consider that if the blind and seeing are not the same, and the deaf and the hearing are not the same, then the believing and the disbelieving are also not the same. Then being grateful and ungrateful is also not the same. Being hopeful and being despairing is also not the same. Being impatient and patient is also not the same. أَفَلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ? Don't you take heed? These two groups are completely different, which is why their end will also be completely different. Amongst the previous ayat, we also learned about the person whose focus is the dunya, and a person whose focus is the akhirah. So a person whose focus is the dunya, his end will be different. And a person whose focus is the akhirah, his end is different. As we learn in the Quran that لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة. أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون. That the people of fire and the people of paradise, they're not equal. They're not the same. How? That the people of Jannah, they will be successful. And the people of hellfire, هم الأخسرون. They're the greatest losers. So over here, we are being invited to reflect, to use our mind. That just as the blind and seeing cannot be the same, similarly believing and disbelieving cannot be the same. Obeying and disobeying cannot be the same. They're different in their nature and they're different in their result. Everyone stand up, we'll listen to the recitation. So we see that in order to attain guidance, what does a person need to do? From the example that is mentioned in the last ayah. A person needs to open his eyes and open his ears. He needs to see. He needs to listen. Because only when he will do that, then something will go in. But if he shuts his faculties off out of bias, out of enmity, then how can he benefit? How can he learn? Share your reflections, please, and then we'll continue.
Assalamu alaikum. We were discussing about how this dunya is a test, and also what we work for is what we get. In the dunya, if you work for that, that is your goal, you get that. And like the Sahaba we were talking about, and the Sahaba, they were afraid. When they got a blessing, they were afraid that this might be their test, and also this might be a way of getting away from the benefits of akhirah. So you need to pray for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, رَبَّنَا أَتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ.
Yes. But ask Allah for both good in dunya and also good in the akhirah. But not that a person thinks, I should only have good in this dunya. And if he doesn't have it, he becomes extremely despairing. There's a hand at the back.
I was just looking at the Masal al-Fariqain and trying to understand it. And I just thought how it works, like when your kids are very much engrossed in their iPod or anything they like to play, and you just make them get up and go and get something from the wardrobe or anywhere. They go and they come back with the answer, it's not there. So it doesn't mean that thing is not there. It's there actually, but because their mind is so much engrossed in what they were doing. So I was comparing this thing that man kana yuridul hayat ad-dunya wa zinataha. If we are unable to see something, it means we are so much engrossed in the dunya. It's all there that there is no more room left for the new thing, for the akhirah. And with the Sahaba, it was totally opposite. They literally could smell the Jannah. It was there, so as a result, this dunya was nothing in front of them. So in us, it's other way around.
Assalamu alaikum. A person who acts only for worldly blessings will not receive anything in the akhirah. If, for example, if we're giving a gift to someone, it should be for the sake of Allah. Because there's a friend of mine, she's like, I gave this girl a scarf and an abaya, and she didn't even say thank you. She was so rude. I was like, but it was for the sake of Allah. It doesn't matter if she said thank you or not.
Exactly.
Right? So.
When you're doing something for Allah, for the akhirah, then you don't care how people are towards you, whether they appreciate or they don't. And you continue to do what you're doing. Because it's not the people who are motivating you, it's the reward of the akhirah that's motivating you. From the ayah, man kana yuridul hayat ad-dunya, it shows to us that we should have a higher goal for ourselves. Our goal should not just be to get a nice house and a nice car and a nice this and a nice that. It should be more than that. Because all of dunya compared to the akhirah is what? Just a drop of the ocean. And remember the value of iman? It's more than the earth's fill in gold. The point of the ayah is that don't make the dunya your goal. Make your goal akhirah, because whatever is decreed for you, it'll happen. You'll get it anyway. You'll get it regardless. But your goal should be the akhirah. It's not that just because you have a car, you'll be happy. And if you don't have that car, you won't be happy. Do you understand? Right. It's not that the blessings of this world is being belittled over here. It's that the akhirah is being shown to us as that which is more important. That should be our goal.
Assalamu alaikum. Just reflecting on concentrating on the akhirah. If your goal is akhirah, really and truly, living in this dunya would be a lot easier for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you don't have to compete with anybody, with your clothing, with your whatever possessions you have. Like, if you don't have it, who cares? And you will never be distressed. You'll never be depressed because, you don't really care about this dunya. Your aim is akhirah, and you feel much more sorry for the people who are concentrated on the dunya.
Yes.
Because, their goal is so limited.
Yes. And the thing is that when a person's ultimate goal becomes a dunya, then he has to undergo so much difficulty. That he has to dress up uncomfortably just to please people. He has to sit uncomfortably just to please people. He has to smile uncomfortably just to please people. And it's a life of pretension. It's a life of great discomfort. And at the end, a person does not even feel happy. Whereas if a person's goal is the akhirah, then that is what will make him happy.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
It's a question actually. It says here وَحَبِطَ مَا صَنَعُوا فِيهَا وَبَاطِلٌ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ to who? Like the kuffar or
Okay.
وَبَاطِلٌ?
وَحَبِطَ مَا صَنَعُوا فِيهَا. Habita is when something does not produce any result. When something does not produce any benefit. Basically, it's when an animal overeats, and as a result of that, its stomach, it bursts, and all that animal had eaten, it didn't bring any benefit to it. So all that the deeds that they had performed, who does they refer to? The people whose goal is dunya. It does not produce any benefit for them in the akhirah. Any benefit at all. And the deeds that they do bring to the akhirah, they're batil. They do not bring any benefit, no reward, they don't carry any value. So they refers to the people whose goal is the dunya. Okay? Who want the reward for the good deeds that they're doing in the dunya. As I mentioned to you earlier, that this ayah primarily is about those who show off. Those who show off their good deeds. So they will have no result in the akhirah. Okay, last comment.
Assalamu alaikum. I was thinking about a person who denies akhirah, he doesn't have limits in dunya. If you deny your akhirah, you don't have anything that you have to worry about in dunya. And another thing, a point of da'wah, the Prophet ﷺ, Allah is telling us how his chest was tight of the message that he would convey. So us as Muslims, we have to convey to non-Muslims. Yes, we might feel in discomfort, but that shouldn't stop us.
Exactly.
Then Allah is capable of everything.
Exactly. That trust upon Him. Wallahu ala kulli shay'in wakeel. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.